Really quickly, guys, before we get to today's breaking news, just do me a favor. We've been getting hit with a lot of copyright claims recently, and although I don't necessarily make money off of these videos and all the ad revenue is going to the NFL, I really don't mind so long as you guys get the content to your home screen and get recommended to you. So just do me a favor and sack that like button for the YouTube algorithm. And if you happen to enjoy my content and receiving NFL news, in addition to NFL stories, then consider subscribing and hitting that notification bell. Now that we got all that out of the way, break! Mic check 1 2 1 2. What's going on, everybody? So it's been a while since we last got some breaking news in regards to a trade, and the backstory behind this breaking news is very fascinating to say the least. So Orlando Brown is a left tackle that was drafted in the third round of the 2018 NFL draft, and he was one of those players that ended up being quite a good pickup by the Baltimore Ravens because he turned out to be an absolute steal. Now bear in mind, the Baltimore Ravens already had a Pro Bowl left tackle on the roster that they drafted with the 6th overall pick in the 2016 NFL draft, so Orlando Brown was primarily relegated to right tackle as opposed to left tackle. But that all changed this past year when Ronnie Stanley got injured in a Week 8 game against the Pittsburgh Steelers, which ended his season due to an ankle injury. Now bear in mind, Ronnie Stanley, top paid tackle in the NFL at the time that this went down, so the Baltimore Ravens were in some trouble, so their immediate reaction was to move Orlando Brown to the left tackle position, and that they did. And what ended up happening was Orlando Brown made it to the Pro Bowl as a Pro Bowl alternate, but eventually he would replace Trent Brown to officially make the Pro Bowl, which would be good enough for his second Pro Bowler. So now you have Orlando Brown, a third-round pick, a player that could be playing either right tackle or left tackle, and made it to the Pro Bowl as both a right tackle in 2019 and a left tackle in 2020. He made it to the Pro Bowl in 2 out of the 3 seasons he's played, so this man has quite a track record. Now you might be thinking, okay, that sounds all fine and dandy, what's the big problem here, Mike? Well, the thing is, left tackles are seen as significantly more valuable in the NFL than right tackles, and that's because you're protecting the quarterback's blind side. So pretty much the left tackle typically is the most talented lineman on your roster, not to get mixed up with the lineman that has the highest football IQ, which would be the center. And as a result, left tackles get paid more typically than right tackles. And if you want an example of that, look no further than the highest paid right tackles versus the highest paid left tackles. The highest paid right tackles in the NFL currently are Lane Johnson, Jack Conklin, and Taylor Moton, and Jawan James. And all of those players are making money in the $12.75 million to the $18 million range. Whereas if you look at the left tackle position, the highest paid left tackles currently are Trent Williams, David Bakhtiari, Laramie Tunsil, and Ronnie Stanley, all making money from the $19.75 million position to the $23 million position. So pretty much the lowest paid top 5 left tackle still makes more money than the highest paid right tackle. And as a result of that, Orlando Brown came out and said, okay, I am no longer playing right tackle. I've proven myself as a left tackle, and if you aren't going to play me at the left tackle position, then I'm demanding a trade. And that's just a very savvy business decision if you're Orlando Brown, and it puts the Baltimore Ravens in a fairly interesting situation as well. Meanwhile, you have the Kansas City Chiefs, who are on the heels of an absolute Super Bowl beatdown as a result of them playing with a gutted offensive line versus the best pass rush in the NFL this past year. As a result, Patrick Mahomes had no time to throw, Andy Reid had no time to set up his offense, and honestly, there were some workarounds that could have been done. They could have ran a similar scheme that involved Patrick Mahomes dinking and dunking his way all the way to the end zone like they did against the Buffalo Bills, but alas, they didn't decide to do that, and as a result, many of us perceive the reason why the Kansas City Chiefs lost the Super Bowl was because their O-line stunk. So as a result, the Kansas City Chiefs had to make some serious moves. They let go of Eric Fisher, their #1 overall pick in the 2013 NFL Draft that was coming off of the heels of an Achilles injury, and they moved on from Mitchell Schwartz, a player that also historically was a good offensive lineman, and they went out and overpaid Joe Thuney, probably the best offensive line free agent in this year's free agency. They lured Kyle Long out of retirement to return to play the other guard position, but many of us were thinking, okay, now that you signed 2 new guards, what are you going to do about the left tackle position? Well, Adam Schefter has some breaking news in regards to that. So it's been fairly quiet in the trade market, but finally we got some breaking news ahead of this year's NFL draft, and I'm really thankful that this happened because I was about to make another mock draft and this definitely changes things. And according to Adam Schefter, Kansas City is trading its first round pick Thursday night, along with 3 other picks in the 2021 and 2022 NFL draft, to the Baltimore Ravens in exchange for Pro Bowl offensive tackle Orlando Brown and 1 pick in the 2021 draft and another in 2022 per sources. Now that sounds very confusing, and thankfully Schefter cleared everything up in about 2 minutes. Kansas City gets Orlando Brown, a 2nd round pick in the 2021 NFL draft, and a 6th round pick in the 2022 NFL draft, whereas Baltimore gets a 1st round pick, which would be the number 31 pick in this year's NFL draft, a 3rd round pick number 94, and a 4th round pick number 136, and a 2022 5th round pick. Which means as a result of today's trade, Baltimore will now have the 27th pick and the 31st overall pick on Thursday night, which is pretty big because that gives them an opportunity to select a new offensive tackle and also double down and select a wide receiver, or maybe even bundle those 2 picks to trade up into a position where they could hopefully select a player like Jalen Waddle or Devontae Smith. And already you could throw away that previous statement because according to Adam Schefter, the Baltimore Ravens already have a remarkable replacement for Orlando Brown. The Ravens are expected to replace him at right tackle with Alejandro Villanueva. The deal won't become official until after the draft, but Villanueva visited the Ravens on Thursday. So the Ravens are going to add some picks, and they won't have that much drop off with Villanueva because this is the tallest and one of the biggest guys in the entire NFL. If you ask me, I think this trade is a huge W for the Baltimore Ravens because here you have a player that you selected with the 3rd round pick that clearly just boosted the living hell out of his value. And now you're flipping that player in order to get yourself a 1st round pick, a 3rd round pick, and a 4th round pick. You don't have to pay this player. This is remarkable asset management if you're the Baltimore Ravens, and you're not going to get much drop off with the replacement that you have in line. Meanwhile, if you look at things from Kansas City's angle, they finally fill that left tackle hole with a remarkable left tackle that is already a proven star who's extremely young. Orlando Brown's only 24 years old. And they don't necessarily need to give up that much capital to do it. Yeah, you downgrade one of your 1st round picks to a 2nd round pick, but in return, you get a proven left tackle. And yeah, you have to give up a 3rd round pick and a 4th round pick and a future 5th round pick, but I believe all of those picks would be absolutely worth it for the Kansas City Chiefs in order to protect number 15 under center. So if I'm going to grade each team, I want to give each team an A, but probably I'd give the Ravens an A+, and I'd give the Kansas City Chiefs an A- because I just slightly like this move more for Baltimore because it was remarkable asset management. But let me know in the comment section down below, what are your grades for this trade? Who do you think did a better job? Who do you think won this trade? Do you think the Baltimore Ravens should have potentially kept Orlando Brown? Do you think the Kansas City Chiefs could have potentially taken a better left tackle in the NFL draft? Because after all, they're going to have to pay Orlando Brown once his rookie scale contract expires. Aside from that, I'm your boy Mike, and I'm dropping our mic until our next upload.